This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why need a cameraman when you can just do it yourself? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information.
Hey, Steve, I want to introduce you to Jersey Jack Pinball. Welcome.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be
You know
here.
this guy?
I do.
Welcome to Jersey Jack.
Thanks a lot.
So, we'll have to put masks on in a minute or two, but I guess before that, maybe you want to play something before? Pinball is in our blood, right?
Pinball it's the basis of life. Pinball is my life, pretty much.
My life too,
Yes, your life too.
and his life.
And his life.
All of
And
us.
his life.
Yeah.
And his life.
All of us, that's great. Look at all the trophies, hopefully we win some more with you.
Yeah.
So-
Bigger ones.
Bigger ones. Okay. All right, let's get our masks and let's go to work.
All right.
Everybody, our team is strengthened even more now with Steve. We're gonna do a lot of great things.
We are. I got a red mask.
A red mask?
Yeah, a little collar to match Pat's shirt. I see you, man. You're hiding over there. What are you doing hiding?
Hey, there's Pete.
I know.
Okay.
You're hiding. Good to see you.
All right.
Good. I'm happy to be here. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Let's go to work.
Hey guys, it's Friday, so it's time for the Retro Buzz. And as promised, we have some huge news if you didn't see it. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. But first, we've got from his arcade closet, we have Mr. Glenn Planamento. Finally, he brings back the arcade closet.
Yep, bags and all.
So we call you the bag man, or?
Yeah, I'm the guy you're calling as a problem bagger.
And we also have Mr. Douglas Smith from his lair of cool toys. You see what I did there? Huh? You like that?
Yeah, play on words.
Play on
Gotcha,
words.
gotcha. I see what you did there. Picking up what you're putting down.
I did. So why don't you give us? Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what video we just watched here, getting into the show?
Yes. So for those of you not aware, that is a massive, groundbreaking, earth-shattering pinball revelation that occurred over the week. Mr. Steve Ritchie has left Stern Pinball to go for their #1 competitor, Jersey Jack Pinball, literally right down the way, because now they are both based in Chicago. Jersey Jack was originally in New Jersey, hence the name, but they moved all their business, manufacturing, everything to Chicago, right down the way from Stern. Steve Ritchie has been notably called the king of pinball for many years. He's been working for Stern for over a decade at this point. He's also worked for Midway. He was the voice of Shao Kahn in the Mortal Kombat series. Worked for Atari at the beginning of his career. He's designed so many iconic pinball games: Terminator 2, F-14 Tomcat, the Black Knight, the Getaway, High Speed, Star Trek, Star Wars for Stern. Let's see, there's so many. His most recent one was Led Zeppelin that just came out this holiday season. It was announced December 15, 2020. Supposedly he left one more in the can for Stern, and he's also got another one in the works for Jersey Jack. So we could see later on this year potentially Stern and Jersey Jack Pinball both competing against each other for the same manufactured table. Both not the same table, but the two different games manufactured and created by the same guy, which would be rather amusing. But this is huge news. Like I said, he's the king of pinball. He's designed so many iconic things. He was the first person to come up with multi-ball for electronic pinball machines. He came up with lane switching. I mean, he's a very creative person. Hasn't been too much of a secret that he wasn't the happiest recently at Stern, and he was feeling a little creatively stifled. Jersey Jack came out and said officially that we're not hiring Steve for what he's done. We're hiring him for what he's going to do for us. So this is not just hey, we got this old washed up legend that will stick in a cubicle and maybe tout him around for PR shows and things like that. No, they're gonna have him creating pinball tables for him, and I'm anxious to see what they get. Jersey Jack is even more expensive than Stern, if that is shocking or surprising to anybody. They're a little more premium with their offerings, but they also have a lot more bells and whistles, bigger screens, bigger electronics, just a lot of more gadgets and gizmos in their pinball machines. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with a little more creative license and a little more money.
Glenn, there's
They
hope
got
for
balls.
you. Well, I was gonna say there's hope for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
They said, it's not
Hey,
just.
Stern, you want to hire me? I'll come right down. Look, I designed this little guy right here. Look at this. It even makes sounds.
See,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
No,
what he
it's-
said.
so
it's
he
small,
does-
but it's still okay. It's still cute.
Doug, he does a lot of like competition and such, right?
Not so much like himself, but I mean, his tables that he's designed and created are some of the most used in competition, and some of the highest selling ones. Like I said, his most recent ones he's done for Stern, he's Terminator 3, Elvis,
Okay.
Spider-Man, 24, AC/DC, Star Trek, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Led Zeppelin, and Black Knight Sword of Rage.
I was curious because in that little video, he's like, "Let's go play some pinball." So I was thinking he was going to actually. I was waiting for him to start playing and actually
Yeah.
video.
I
but-
mean,
but they
I'm
didn't.
sure he's no slouch being
No.
working in the pinball field, but he's not a world-class competitor or anything like that. He also suffers from a specific disease, and I forget what it's called, but he's losing a lot of his hearing too, so that's why you also notice he has a hearing aid. But he's his thing is he always wears black. He drives a black car. He always wears black shirts, black pants. He's an old heavy metal rocker type of guy. Like I said, he was the voice of Shao Kahn. He's the voice of the Black Knight and the pinball things. He's voiced several other characters. I think he's the announcer in a high stake or high speed football. I'm trying to remember the arcade game. It was a precursor to Blitz. High impact. There we go. High impact football. That's what it was. He's the announcer for that, but he's a legend in both video games and pinball, but notably for pinball. It'd be the equivalent of like Shigeru Miyamoto leaving Nintendo to go work for Sega in the heyday. I mean, that's essentially what this has happened. It's somebody taking the most prolific name and designer from a successful company and jumping ship to a competitor. I mean, it's a huge deal.
Oh, absolutely. So even with Glenn, you said about hard of hearing. I mean, Glenn, see, there's hope for you, Glenn. I'm telling you.
What?
See, see,
Listen, Sonny.
there's hope where there is no hope. It'll be pretty cool
Well,
to see what
the big
happens.
thing for me is he's not slowing down. He wants to go. He wants to keep creating. He's not slowing down, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it'll be really cool to see what he has, in store, because obviously he had something in mind. He's not just going to go there with a blank slate. I'm sure they talked about it when they had the whole hey, come for us. This is what we'll let you do type of thing. So I'm sure his first thing out of the gate is going to be impressive. Plus, like I said, he'll have a little more build of materials costs going his way, since the Jersey Jack's machines are a little more expensive than the Stern machines. So he'll have more to work with and play with.
So, what did you want to go into next? You want to, since we're on this pinball train, do you want to kind of talk about the Avengers?
Yeah. So the Avengers Infinity War was actually on television today, the Stern pinball table. So comically, ESPN2, the channel, is doing a little cross promotion with ESPN8, the Ocho, which is a tongue-in-cheek joke of obscure sports where every once in a while they allow some weird things to be on television. But Stern had their pinball invitational heads up type of thing on ESPN2 today, this afternoon, where they were playing a little tournament, a mini tournament of the Avengers Infinity Quest. And this is not your basic standard, hey, whoever scores the most points wins. These are specific challenges for modes, hey, you got to activate this. So you got to really be on top of your game. You got to be a skilled player, because you got to be able to hit those shots, on call, on demand. And it was pretty interesting to see. Like I said, I sat there in between breaks at work and turned on TV, and I watched competitive pinball on a major network. So it was pretty cool to see.
I'm just looking at it here.
Not those two guys.
I was going to say, I'm looking at it here. I was like, they did a really poor job on the green screen on these two guys. I'm like,
well,
I see the feathering around it.
Yeah, it's also like a quasi tongue-in-cheek thing. they
Yeah.
know it's silly and it was intentionally made to be, you know, a tongue-in-cheek spoof of Sports Center. But the guy on the right there is Jack Danger. He's actually
Yeah.
you
a
mean
very
Legend
good.
Center?
But
Yeah.
like, okay, so if you look, even where it says Stern on his shirt, like obviously there's green in it because you're watching it
Yeah.
and go, come on, guys, come on,
Yeah.
you have this killer set, and you can't even get the lighting right. Like,
They tried. They
ah,
tried.
yeah. But other than that, like they did it good
Mhm.
here with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's impressive. Just number one to see competitive pinball, but number two to see them, you know, put some pizzazz to it. And it's just not, you know, some top-down view of somebody hunkered over a pinball machine. They did a pretty good job with the production quality of it.
Was she from the '90s? Looks like she was dressed from the '90s. What's up with that?
Well, it is retro.
That's that hipster style, man.
It's
'90s is not retro.
it's
'90s is
pinball.
its own thing, man. Come on.
I mean, anything past 20 years, I think, is considered, or 20 or 25 years in cars is considered classic. So
after 20.
That's
So-
not retro.
So would that
classic.
make Glenn oldie?
I don't know. There's like
Ancient?
classic. There's retro. There's nostalgic. There's
I'm
ancient.
definitely retro. I am retro.
Yeah.
There's
That's the ladies
biblical.
like. The ladies go for the retro.
Do they? They do.
Sorry, guys. It's just it's one of those things. It's a habit of mine. I sit there when I watch anything and I pick it apart for things like that. But it was cool because I saw your post today that they took over ESPN too. So
Yeah, like I said,
That's huge, man.
Rock skipping. There
Yeah.
was like hacky sack. There was I don't know what it's called, but it's like a four-way volleyball where they have like a cross volleyball net and there's two people in each corner.
yeah,
Just all sorts of crazy things. Rock skipping, it was one of those things that was like a car crash. I wanted to turn the channel and look away, but I'm like, no, I'm like, what? And they're like, all right, he's competing at the pro level for the first time. And in my head, I'm like, there's a pro level of rock skipping? I mean, you're getting paid? Good for you, you know? Good for you.
yeah. So moving on, there's another big announcement. This one I was actually pretty excited for when you sent the article over. The only bad thing was and I know Bobby Vu's in the chat room right now, and so he's probably going to cringe when he sees the price on it, like I did. So, talk to us about the BuyStuffArcade.com Legends
yes.
Pinball update.
So they have two options. They have a non-curved one is what we're seeing right here, just the straight up and down. But this is a replacement back glass piece for your AtGames Legends pinball machine.
Get that
Uses the secondary, standard DMD that we get on the normal machine as a secondary score, then adds a 24-inch LCD, and then you get a rounded version if you want as well, if you want that little retro look, since we're using that word today. But yeah, the price point is $529. That does include shipping, I believe, because I think it was like $60 shipping. So
And if you add
depending on how you look at it,
you're adding
but
another.
it comes with like mounting brackets and a mounting spot for your Vibs board, so it's not dangling there from duct tape. I mean, it looks clean. It's a nice design. Obviously, they gotta make money and it's marked up. I get it 100%. I know cost of materials of what that costs to make because I did the exact same thing myself months ago, so I know what the cost is. But I also understand it's a business. You're not running things for free. So yes, is that a significant price? Absolutely. Will people buy it? Absolutely. Because not everybody is, woodworking capable. Not everybody's willing to, outsource somebody across the country to do it for them. So
Cut off a finger.
Something like that. So yeah, this is an opportunity for people. One thing I don't like about it, and it doesn't really indicate it very well on the website, is it has an unfinished back, meaning it's like completely open. There's no like back panel door or anything to like clean it, close it off, because I think they did a good job. Like it's well made, it looks clean, the lines, everything is straight, everything's where it needs to be. But if like your machine is not 100% backed up against a wall, or like for whatever reason you can see towards the back of it, you're gonna go, that looks a little unfinished.
Yeah, why would they?
And if you're spending
why would they put that on there?
$530, I think you could have gave us the
Even particle board.
Yeah, that's what, it didn't even have to be just something to close that off. I mean, that's the missing.
That's a shoe shine saying in there. He watched the interview and he said that he sold on not buying it because of there's no back on it, and then he could build something better. I'm curious to see Bobby Voo's in there, and his answer was whoa. That was with like a surprised look. I'm curious to hear from the master what the cost would be if he was building it, just building it, not selling it to somebody, because obviously he's generous a lot, but what he would charge somebody to do something like this, because we've seen some of the work that he's done on his own pinball tables with it. I'd be very curious. I mean, $600, man. That's the cost of the pinball table, right? So.
Well, not anymore because
Right.
they have like the 100 tables
Oh,
built in,
yeah.
so it's up close to 700.
But it
and
was
there's
originally.
also, like, it doesn't come with art. Well, actually, it does, but there's like 5 generic choices, and if you don't like that, it's another $45 for the art.
Oh,
like
man.
I mean, it adds up, sure, but this is
Yeah.
obviously, again, going to that. This is like a want, not a need type of thing. Like, if you're a-okay with what you got, that's fine. But if you want to spend a little extra, you just like everything else, any type of modding, you can go crazy. You can spend a lot of money if you want to add solenoids, surround sound feedback, all this stuff. You can add a couple more $100 to the, it just,
Look at Kong.
it really, yeah. I mean,
Kong goes crazy on those things.
I think he said he put in another like $1,200 in his mods on top of the cost of the machine. So you're looking at a $2,000 virtual pinball machine when it's all said and done.
That's insane.
Which is still cheaper than a lot of retail options out there.
Right.
But again, it just really boils down to what you as a personal preference need, desire, want, all those things in your, pinball machine. But here's an option for people that don't have the woodworking skills, that just want to say, hey, somebody do it for me. Here's an option for you. If you don't like it, save your money.
Yep.
But there's one thing I forgot to mention too, that you actually, if you send them your old back box, they'll give you a $70 credit, which is a nice incentive too, because honestly, what else you can do with it?
But what's it going to cost you in shipping to send it to them?
I think I want to say there was a label provided or something.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
like
they're
I
in
said,
Canada.
Little things like that is sweet. Yeah,
Right,
because-
that's the same.
hell,
They're the same guys that did the podiums and everything for the pinball, right?
Yeah,
Buy
they do
Stuff Store. Yeah.
the stands and the
Okay.
transforming TV stand that rotates. Yeah.
Bobby Voo says he could do it for way under that. So.
Yeah, I mean you could say that about anything. Like, you can build a car that goes
Yeah.
faster than a Lamborghini for significant. Like, yeah, I don't think anybody's under the impression that the things we buy are
Oh no, I
made
get it.
but yeah, for sure. Like, I think I maybe spent $120 tops making my back box, and like
Wow.
90 of that was the monitor. So I mean, it's cheap.
Well, they know people pay for it, and
Mhm.
he goes. Bobby Voo says, "I'll buy your Legends back box for $90 and send it."
What are you gonna do with it?
Oh, the
With
question
him,
is,
who knows?
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say he's gonna do something.
Just envisioning like a nice like hip hop album cover where I'm posting up, and there's just like screens galore, backboxes just stacked up behind him, and they're all turned on, just looking crazy.
Shots fired. That's all I can say. Like
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Like I looked at it, they did go with a bigger screen on it, obviously, and then the secondary screen. But honestly, if you don't have a PC hooked up to your pinball, which I don't, there's
Yeah,
really
you
no
don't-
point to it.
There's no incentive whatsoever. Like,
Right.
this is for people that want to take it to that next step of modding. They're like, okay, even connecting my PC to OTG,
Yeah.
I want that third screen. And we've seen people do all sorts of creative things where they've put a standard TV bracket on theirs and then mounted a TV on it that way. I've seen people put monitors on top of the existing back box. I've seen all sorts of things like that. So the want in the community is there. This is them trying to fulfill that, desire of people to have that full functional 3-screen support. But this is not.
Can't you
gonna be
make
for
it like
everybody.
Nintendo? We had a foldable cardboard and still charge like $200 for something like that.
Like the Labo? Is that what that was?
There
Yeah.
you go. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, props to Nintendo. They found a way to sell people cardboard for $80, $90, $100, and people bought it.
It's a good thing we showed that before Kong's got here. Kong's just got here because he would have been like just shaking his head. He might have even caught a little bit. Again, kudos. Like, if you're gonna buy it, great. I mean, kudos to them to getting it going for the community. It's just not something.
And you got to remember, not everyone's like us. Not everyone buys like everything under the sun. Maybe they have just the Legends pinball, and then mine spending
Yeah.
$500 to make that the best. So we take it a little more to an extreme because we kind of know what's involved. But the average person might just go, $500, something like that. Sure, why not?
So let me ask you guys something then, from my perspective, is not being a huge. Okay, growing up, I played pinball at the bowling alleys and stuff like that, but I never really. I wouldn't call myself a pinball guy, right? So let's say with all the digital pinball tables out there, would it be best to buy the Legends pinball at 750, $800, and then turn around and buy this upgrade, or would it be better to go buy a higher end digital pinball table with accelerometers and and all the other stuff that all these guys want, and get the
You
tables?
realize that a higher end one is going to cost you minimum $2,500, so you're pretty much double at least, and that's starting off. You are getting a bigger monitor perhaps and more horsepower, but it's not the same as apples to oranges. It's like saying you buy an arcade machine or an arcade one-up. I mean, you can still throw a lot of dough into an arcade one-up before you get to the price of an arcade. And generally, when you buy the arcade, you're going to keep it probably stock because you can play the one game, right? But if you have something, we can play more. So it's not always the same type of argument, in my opinion. Well,
that's why I was
You can always
asking.
throw money at anything. And like Doug said before, you can still buy that Lamborghini and tint the windows and change the wheels and whatever you do to cars, you young people do to cars these days, whatever it is, and still throw a lot of money at it. And then you can also have a guy with a Yugo who literally took a Yugo and dropped a V8 engine in there and four-wheel drive and everything else. So it's just whatever you want to do. It's yours. If you want to spend the cash, spend the cash.
No. I was just saying because you're going to have people that are going to be watching this at later, and they're going to go, well, you should just buy a better one or a Stern, and that's kind of why I was asking. I mean,
But people are always going to say that.
Yeah, it really boils down to like what is the most important for that person. I always tell people like make a checklist. Like, do you want to have more than one game? Do you want something that's physically mechanical? Do you need solenoids, surround sound feedback? Do you need real haptic, or not haptic, but real physical nudging? Do you want to play hundreds of games? You want to play thousands of games? You want to play 2 games? You want to play 1 game? What is going to be best for you? Make that list, and then you can easily start whittling down things. And then at the end of the day, you got to find out, well, what's your price point? Like, what are you comfortable spending? Are you going to spend $6,000? Are you going to spend $3,000? Are you going to spend $2,000? Because each one of those price points, those price tiers, is going to whittle down your options significantly. Like, obviously, going over $6,000, you're in professional, commercial, physical, mechanical pinball territory, but you're also in the virtual pinball, all the bells and whistles possible cabinet. So it's just like, what's more important to you? Which do you think you would enjoy the most, and have the most or less buyer's remorse from?
I do think that out of all the ones out right now, I do think the AtGames Legend pinball has got the most available options and modding capabilities.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
but you can still do what the arcade one-up one, just will cost you a little bit more here and there. But if I was buying one today, personally, I would probably go with the AtGames Legend pinball, just because out of the box, there's a lot more you can do with it, including playing regular games on it, which is something you're not going to do with the arcade one-up one. But some people may say, I don't want to play games on it. I want this pinball
to expand. It's built to add more pinball tables, add arcade games, things like that. Whereas other ones aren't made for that.
Right. And it's a bigger screen.
Going to that $2,000-$3,000. Yeah, bigger screen.
Right.
Again, it's not that apples to apples comparison like Glenn mentioned. So that's why it's always irking to me to try to answer that, because like I get it. People they don't want that buyer's remorse. They want to spend a lot of money and say, okay, I feel good about that purchase. But that's where you got to say, like, hey, what's important? What features are important to you? Because that is truly going to be what tells you one way or the other. And
like you said, I mean, the big draw for me with it over the arcade one-up, even the Toy Shock. Like, I have the Toy Shock. Take away the playability. These are big cabinets. Any way you look at it, 32-inch, 24-inch, they're big cabinets. You got to have room for it. So with the Legends coming in a 32-inch screen, having even 100 in some games, we haven't even played 100 in some games on there, and they continue to release more. So, for me, that's plenty. I know, Doug, you hooked up your PC to it, and you probably got 10,000 games now with the I'm joking, of course, because there's not that many pinball effects. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you can go through and have one table, one physical table that you can play, Meatball Saucy's in here. He does a lot with that. I can't collect pinball tables like I collect the arcade one-ups, and I'm actually, and I know we're gonna get to this later, I'm actually contemplating some other things. So, um, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm just looking at the comments here in the
P
chat
Dubs
room.
left one super chat.
Did he?
Yeah. He says, yeah, we don't need the BSS back box.
Oh,
But we
there it
will
is.
end up getting it anyway. Hashtag we got problems. We do.
There it is. I would agree. We do have problems because I personally I'm not going to go out and buy it. I'm just not. There's better things that I could do for $600 than upgrade the back box. Now, if I had a PC connected to it, that'd be a different story. But as fidgety and finicky as those cables are in the what
Yeah.
I want to call it a Gen 1, right? Because a lot of these guys got like an updated model. I don't want to even touch it. Like it pains me. Like if I have to move it, like if I moved it out of the house, that would be the only time I disconnect the cable. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I've made no, qualms about my disdain for that EDP cable connection they got
Yeah,
out there. It's at that price point, for God's sakes, please spend the extra $1.45 for the HDMI connection
Yep.
that is standard. For the love of God, that's just my 2 cents. But that's neither here nor there because it hasn't happened and it won't happen. So oh well. Just don't mess with your EDP cable. If it gets working, don't ever touch it again. That's all I gotta say.
So Kongs just said, from a modding standpoint, he said if you're going full PC, I still think it's easier to mod an arcade one up like Cool Toy did, to add monitors into the back. Would you agree with that, Doug?
Yes and no. I mean, it really just depends on like what you're trying to. I mean, there's more available to you in terms like there's solenoids already there. There's that secondary screen that's natively using an HDMI connection. You can use that stock 24-inch monitor that's in there. Just use an LCD converter or an LCD controller board converter. I found that monitor that like perfectly fits in that back glass area, so you can add a third one if you want. But to me, it's a push. I consider the AtGames and the arcade one-up one just as equally as mod friendly. It just really depends on like what you're trying to do. Like if you're just trying to connect a PC and add more games, the AtGames is easier. If you're wanting more bells and whistles like the analog plunger and the solenoids and the secondary screen that has more adjustments and it's easier to connect and plug with than the arcade one-up was. But I mean, they're very close. But the price now is changing that significantly with arcade one-up raising the pinball machines 30%. I mean, it just becomes
ridiculous.
Well, sorry, but the AtGames one is clearly the victor. I mean, not only are you getting more, even with their price hike, because their price hike came with 100 extra, games, love them or hate them, whatever, you're still getting more bang for your buck. But their price hike added more, whereas arcade one-up's price hike added nothing.
When I went to
but
Chinatown,
cost.
that was what I was looking for, the biggest bang for the buck, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of which, we have to do, it's in the contract, we have to go to Glenn's Game of the Week. We'll come back right after this.
So what game am I playing this week? This week I was feeling a little naughty, so I thought I would play some Naughty Boy. Now, Naughty Boy is not one of the most well-known arcade games, but it was a very fun game I remember playing back in 1982 when it was released by Cinematronics in North America, but original manufacturer is Jellico. As far as I know, the only home port of Naughty Boy was on the Casio PV1000, system only available in Japan. Now, this is one of those games where you think someone's probably spoken something when they came up with this game concept. But again, it's still a fun game, but it's very strange. The main goal of the game is to make it to the top of each stage while avoiding the enemies. The player can throw rocks, and when you throw the rock, the longer you hold down your button, the further the rock travels. And it's one of those hard things to play in the heat of battle. They're pressing the button to throw your rock, hit enemies, realizing that the rock is dropping super short because you got to hold the button down for longer throws. And of course, when you're doing this, your player can't move, so you're now basically leaving yourself open to be attacked. The enemies themselves usually have to be hit twice. The first hit will stun them. The second hit will knock them out, which makes this game even more difficult to play. You can pick up some bonus items throughout the level, which can be anywhere from 500 to 9,000 points. There's also throughout the level purple question marks that can be picked up, which make the player invincible for a short amount of time. Something that you really need to have happen in this game, because it's basically like pandemonium trying to get to the top of each level. At the top of each level, there are a number of flags that must be destroyed in order to progress to the next level. Occasionally, there will be a bonus round where your character flies back and forth on top of the screen in a hot air balloon, and in this level the player must drop rocks on a monster's head that's running back and forth. No! You must do this before your fuel runs out. No! So that's all I have to say about Naughty Boy. If you have never played it, it's definitely a fun game, but again, it's a weird one. But that's why I wanted to talk about this one, because I'm sure not too many people know about it. But you can still play it right now in MAME, and I do recommend it as a game you should try. So thanks for watching, and remember, no matter what you do or what game you play, game on.
Thanks as always to Glenn for his game of the week. We're going to see if we can do some more of that stuff, I think. Not the game of the week, but...
Naughty boy. So naughty.
So, guys, there was another announcement, what was it, this week, Doug, from iArcade?
Yeah, they announced some new games as they usually do with their weekly, live streams. And on Tuesday, they announced that they were bringing Elevator Action and its sequel, Elevator Action Returns, I think is the official name. A lot of people just call it Elevator Action 2. But yeah, that's coming to the iArcade. Don't have a specific date yet, but 2 classic arcade games. Literal run and gun because you are running with a gun, but you're trying to make it through, I think it's 30 different tiers. Yeah, 30 different levels there. And it's a fun, classic, old school game.
Got to work that Tato license, buddy.
Yeah.
My question
Tato.
with this is...
Tato!
Glenn, this was one of your favorite games, and my question is, with the gate system being universal, is that going to make this game tough?
It's hard to say. I mean, I find personally that the iArcade joystick spring is light as it is.
Okay.
So I tend to have a little more difficulty with certain games with it as it is, which is why I swapped mine out. I did break my warranty. I did through my Tron joysticks. So I'm also going to have my 4 8-way gate restrictors in there. But this game, you do want 8 ways on it. So to go, up and down certain elevators. Yeah. Right, the stairs. But I'll have to try it out. I just find that the springs are a little bit light and a little too sensitive for my tastes. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, because you just watching the game. Like, I didn't play this a lot growing up. I've played it once or twice, but you're all over. It's like up and down, kind of like Burger Time is, and
that was going to be what I compared it to as far as control scheme is very Burger Time-esque as far as quick side-to-side motions and up and down, things like that. So you want to have precision controls for sure.
Right.
So I'll be interested to see how
Burger
it works.
Time, I'm telling you, it can be brutal. You really need
that
strict gate on that one. It's horrible.
And I love Burger Time, so I get frustrated. You hit the angle on it, and it's like you end up dying because Peter doesn't climb the ladder, and it's like...
Stupid hot dogs get you every time.
I know, man. So, I mean, I'll probably pick this up. I mean, it's a classic. I know last week
it's a fun game. It really is a fun game.
I went off on a tangent where I was like, I'd rather see the newer games on the iArcade. But, I mean, this is a classic like Space Invaders. But I don't have this on another cabinet, and that was my caveat. I have a Space Invaders 40th Anniversary Arcade 1-Up. It's dedicated. It's the only thing for it. So I'm not going to buy it again.
You can
this
hear
is
it
different.
3 blocks away.
You can, yeah, you can absolutely hear it.
Ka-thunk,
Only 3
ka-thunk,
blocks.
ka-thunk.
Um,
Yep.
so this is going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to
And that's
see.
a good thing to remember too. Is these old games are tiny, so you can fit a lot more on your 64 gig II arcade. Although you can still fit all of them on there, but these games are tiny. They're inexpensive. They're quick. Jump in, play for a while. You don't have to put a lot of time into it. It's just a fun game, and for the price point, it's good.
Absolutely.
I think so. What do we got here, Doug?
There we go.
He sends me this
Yeah.
picture of this big old truck full of boxes.
So yeah, last time we talked with Shiloh, he'd given us an update on their 1942/1943 cabinets, where they said, hey, these are literally been sitting in a warehouse in China. They've been done. We just can't get shipping containers to, bring them over. It's like I think Shiloh mentioned that they had several containers just canceled on them, where they scheduled them, said, hey, let's get these on the water, and the shipping companies were canceling on them. So good news is it looks like they finally got everything scheduled, and according to that tweet, they're looking like they'll be able to start processing those initial customer pre-orders for the week of August 23rd. So hopefully by the end of the month, some people might have their Capcom 1942/1943 New Wave Toys replicades in their hands. So
All right.
I should have
that's
talked
that's
to
a great
Shiloh.
update.
I have
talked to him.
I have to
Go
interrupt.
back to the picture real quick. Go back to the picture real quick.
Okay, but I have to interrupt real quick.
There you
Doug,
go.
they're asking for you to do a segment right here in the comments, and I'm going to go back to the picture here in a second. Is is that going to be doable?
That's what I do every week. I just don't broadcast it. Yeah.
All right, there's the picture. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying this is. I should have talked to Shiloh. See all that empty space
Yeah.
above those boxes there?
Yeah.
That could have been some Star Wars, Tron joysticks, spinners. I need to get my stuff over here. I kind of stuck and shoved it in there and got some product over here. We're still having a hard time getting stuff.
But they might have already unloaded most
Yeah,
of
I was
that.
about to say, you're also under the impression that they didn't already unload that first little layer,
No, but even at the very top, look at the.
But they might have pulled stuff out of there though.
Yeah.
I could have got a couple of girls squeezed in there too. I mean,
Oh.
Who's to say there wasn't a couple of girls squeezed in there? Glenn?
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm going to go on the record and say we don't condone human trafficking of any sort, but Glenn, if you're looking for a bride,
I thought
I do hear they can be ordered through the mail.
his bride though I thought she was in here.
No, Jen is here. Jen's in the group. Not a bride yet, though. Not a bride, but a girlfriend. She's here.
But Glenn, did you get one of these?
The 1942 and 43?
Mhm.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah,
And
same
pretty much, I've gotten everything that they've sent out, except I still got to get the coin charger.
Oh, you don't have one?
That's one.
Wow.
That's the one I waited on. It was out of stock,
Mhm.
but I think it's back again.
Yeah,
but
I was
I
getting
have
ready to
them
say,
all.
I think they're getting ready to put those up in like blue as well, and they also
Yeah,
gave a
I want the
little
blue.
update on their like mini boom boxes as well, which had been
Right.
kind of
The stuff there,
for a long time.
what gets me so much on New Wave Toys is, first of all, they look really good. They look really good. The quality is there. The packaging, of course, box in a box in a box. I love that. But they're not, like, the prices went up a smidgen, but not a lot. When you think about it, they pay licenses. They can pay license to these companies too. They got to pay the manufacturers. Now, of course, they're using less materials, but still, their price hike that they did was very minimal. And Shiloh was very big to say that he did whatever he could to try and keep that price down. So I really thank New Wave Toys for doing that.
And he also said they're going to keep those new features we saw with Dragon's Lair, like the USB input and the HDMI
Right.
output.
And they added.
Yeah, so
Right,
you
they
added
did.
something for the value, even though the price did go up. You're still
Right. And then generally,
getting-
when you get it, you find some extra decals in there, some other things they still threw in on top of it. So, I want to support New Wave Toys. Oh, what are we reading here? Oh.
I made sure that I was off the screen when I posted that because you guys went there. I did not, because the last time I made a comment that had nothing to do with what I was accused of, I got ripped up one side and down the other by a certain individual on the internet.
People like to misconstrue and misinterpret things, but
Yeah,
I mean,
human trafficking. We're just helping people go state to state cheaper, because flights on planes can be expensive.
All right, that's just
Yeah.
we're gonna get flagged on this one, boy. No.
Yeah, just moving on.
So one of the things that I was actually excited for when I saw the notes for today Doug, I have to admit was this because I alluded to earlier that I'm thinking about going with some of these combo cabinets, especially like I've already had my Galaga cabinet. Thanks to Bobby Vu, I got a new PCB on it. The PCB just decided to die one day, and Bobby Vu sent me a new PCB. So I did just recently in the last 6 months buy the Miss Pac-Man, but this is actually pretty cool. So what did they do differently that I know you talk about mock-ups all the time, but what did they do?
Oh, right there. I can see right away.
Yeah,
At
they
least
corrected the bezel artwork.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Originally, when they first showed this off, and it had been sitting on their website for well over a month now, with nothing but Miss Pac-Man bezel around the artwork, which is inconsistent to where the original Class of '81. It had Miss Pac-Man on one side, Galaga on the right side,
Right.
and they went and updated it and said, "Oh yeah, here we go," which is great because that was literally low-hanging fruit. That's one of those things like I always complain and give them crap about. Because they just keep stepping on their own toes.
Yep.
But I
Even the
swear they
riser,
don't.
though. You see the
Yeah,
riser?
they don't proofread this stuff.
Riser,
and
they
it's got the
did
nice,
it good.
like,
They did it really
They
good on
finally
this.
But it's
fixed
got
that.
like the
That
faint,
was my thing.
faint artwork. Kind of, if you really zoom in on it, you can see it. But yeah, I'm happy to see them make those corrections. I know that was like one of the first things the community called out, and rightfully so. Like I said, it's low hanging fruit, and it should have never been shown that way because it was just inconsistent and inaccurate to what they were trying to go for. But
Right.
they've righted their mistake, fortunately, before it shipped out to customers.
Hey, look at the fire buttons on the right side.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I mean, they're learning. They still
Jeez.
make mistakes. Like I said, I was giving them crap for their Pong head-to-head thing because they've got multiple conflicting images. I'm still perturbed that they have the incorrect control panel artwork on that Street Fighter Legacy cabinet they put out. But whatever, this looks very pleasing to the eye. It looks the way it should. It's supposed to be
What's the
going out
cost?
for pre-order.
Is it going to be a
I can tell you,
$5.99 or a $4.99?
it's not going to be cheap.
I'd do
Put
it for
it that way.
$3.99. Anything higher, I think it's not worth it.
Well,
What about you guys in the chat room? What do you before Doug tells us? What do you think? I think
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna let you find out. How about that?
I think this is going to be a $5.99 cabinet, which is overpriced in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you'll get a stool.
I don't care about the
And-
stupid stool. It's the most uncomfortable thing that they have to
It is.
offer.
And it'll rip in a week.
And you might get a sign. You might get a tin sign.
I think this falls into the category the same way that the golf. What was the golf game? Golden Tee.
Golden Tee?
$3.99. I think is more than adequate for this, for the class of '81. I mean, honestly, I can't see paying more for this. I mean, it's a nice cabinet. It really is. But I mean, so they did really good on the artwork. See, Brad agrees with me. $3.99 max with no lit riser. I don't want a stupid lit riser. I think that's that's my pet peeve. Dumbest thing ever. But okay. Fernando says $4.50. Roger says $4.99, still overpriced. He also says, let me see, hang on. Chris Canadian. Oh, it's $6.99 Canadian in the leaks. Ouch.
Oof.
Ouch. I wouldn't buy it for $6.99 Canadian.
So hypothetically, if there was a 40th anniversary Galaga cabinet that also came out, would this annoy you?
No, because I like the look of this, honestly.
Mhm.
Man,
Well-
you know who's making a killing? Escape Pod. They're making a killing.
With the
All this
artwork?
different artwork.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Who's the game? What's the game? So we've got Galaga. We've got Galaga 88 on this. We've got Galaxia, Dig Dug 2, which I really want on a cabinet. Mappy, I really want that on a cabinet. Rally X, I want that on a cabinet. Rolling Thunder, I want like all the games. Rolling Thunder, Rompers, Tower of Dragula. I don't even know what
It's
that
got a-
is. King
got a
and
good lineup.
Balloons. 90% of those games, guys, I want on a cabinet. So for me, that's a huge win because I don't have those games on a cabinet.
And see if they did everything really accurate and they used the Class of 81 ROM, technically you would get the original Pac-Man on there as well because it was a hidden feature. And therefore you would have, for all intents and purposes, a cabinet that finally reunites Miss Pac-Man with Pac-Man, which is never happened. That's why there's like 4,000 variations of Arcade 1-Up Pac-Man machines, so they can forcibly divorce that couple for whatever reason. Do I think they're going to use that ROM? No. Would it be awesome? Yes.
I don't know, guys. I really hope I hope the leaks are wrong. Like if they're saying $6.99 Canadian, that means it'll put it right around $5.99 in America. What is it?
Too much.
$5.49.
$5.49, $5.99 with a stool, hypothetically.
It's too much for me. Someone may think it's worth it.
There you go. I was about to say, cost is subjective and relative. Obviously,
that's why I said for me,
like,
it's too much.
Arcade 1-Ups priced themselves out of business, and then guess what? They started selling out their pre-orders just as fast. So I mean, there's always somebody willing to buy something.
I'm not knocking.
QVC is always there. As long as QVC here, they'll sell them.
That's true. QVC probably will. Will have it. I have to listen. I have to look.
Jimmy will love this thing.
I don't.
It's only $800. I'll get it for him. 13 payments.
I don't want it with the light up riser. I'll take, like, if QVC, I don't want a light up deck protector. I want the light up marquee. I want the games that are on it with the artwork, with the riser. You figure $50 extra for a riser. So if I wanted to be okay, I guess, I would say maybe, like somebody said it in here, $450, right? Because you're going to spend, up to $50 for a riser. Add the graphics on it, maybe throw another $20 on it. So around $449. I would do it for $449, even though I think $399 is a good price. For just the riser, lighted marquee, $449 with those games. Done deal. I'd pre-order it. No, actually, I wouldn't pre-order. I'd wait for some of the. I don't pre-order Arcade 1-Ups, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, and let me just take this time to do the PSA. I've said this 1,000 times, but people still don't listen. This and the Simpsons cab are going to go up for pre-order. They're going to go up for pre-order on Arcade 1-Up's website first and foremost.
Yeah.
They're going to be overpriced. They're going to charge you shipping and tax. And then guess what? A retailer within 45 minutes is also going to offer these options for less money, without shipping, with potentially no tax depending on where you live. So, unless Arcade 1-Up changes their ways and offers you some sort of incentive, I don't care if it's a Pac-Man air freshener, there's no financial incentive or reason for a consumer to order direct through Arcade 1-Up, because you're not going to get the machine faster than anybody else. You're not going to get it cheaper than anybody else. You're not going to get any features that other retailers are not offering. Right. So unless they magically change their ways, which historically speaking they've yet to do a single time, there's no reason for you to order from Arcade 1-Up direct. Don't have that FOMO. Don't go trigger finger like, oh my God, it's live on the website at 10 a.m. I got to get it now. No, you don't.
Right. The only time you
don't need to pre-order it, period.
No, you don't. But there's been a couple of times they offered, the better controllers or marquee.
Yes.
When they did that, okay. But if it's a regular one, no.
Yes.
Every single time
retail,
people have done it, it's come at your store quicker. And don't do GameStop either. Don't pre-order at GameStop ever.
Yeah, I disagree on that one, because historically speaking, they've always been the first retailer to get their stuff.
No, maybe not in New York.
I don't know. I pre-ordered Skyward Sword, and it was supposed to be here the day it was released, and they sat on it, and I got it on Tuesday.
Arcade 1-Up.
Okay, but I can understand why he says that.
I got my pinball machine from GameStop. I got my NBA Jam cabinet from GameStop.
That's because they know you're a cool toy.
Right, exactly.
They know you're a
cool
toy.
knows I'm cool toy. Yeah. My neighbor doesn't know I'm cool
do.
toy. My wife doesn't know I'm cool toy.
Listen, I saw the accusations.
Cool toy, by God, we've got some discussions to have about
That's
privacy.
where he wears the hat.
Yes.
That's the magic hat. No one recognizes who he is.
I seen the accusations.
With my shaggy hair, talking about Fortnite, and I just blend right in.
I seen the accusations online. You got it first because they knew you were a cool toy.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
That stuff cracks me up, because just thinking of the logistics of trying to arrange such a thing. Like, first of all, you would have to have warehouse distribution leaders talking to customer service leaders, talking to so-and-so, Just imagine that conversation where like Shelly and customer
Wah, wah.
service for GameStop
Wah,
was
wah.
like, hey,
Wah,
yeah,
wah,
Jimmy
wah.
on the dock, we've got this very important person on the internet that doesn't really have a massive following that has a big head. We're going to need you to put his pinball machine out there on the pallet immediately because he's a big deal. And he's got many leather-bound books, and his house smells like rich mahogany. That is what would have to transpire for anything to be remotely true about that. But people are allowed to, come up with any kind of silly accusations they want. I don't care.
I'm in complete agreement with Cool Toy. Yes.
It's all good. I was kind of saying that facetiously, but as Meatball Saucy says, there is no Cool Toy. Speaking of which, before we wrap this up here in a few minutes, for all you collectors, you guys remember when my son was on the show, he was excited today because if you guys are into the collecting, the retro Ecto 1 for the Real Ghostbusters was delivered today. And Doug, you were saying that you weren't sure if it was going to make it. And I totally forgot about it until I got a notification that I had pre-ordered it.
That's how long I'd had it on pre-order. I mean, it's been since like March.
Yeah, it was. It was March.
Before that, it was like November of last year when it was announced. So, like, I feel like this has been a thing forever. But lo and behold, it finally showed up on my doorstep today, which was great. Appreciate it. Walmart coming through. They've canceled several of my toy pre-orders over the last year and a half. So, didn't have a whole lot of faith in it. And then when I saw it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive pre-order special for them, I was like, wait a minute. Why are you pre-ordering this again when you haven't filled the original pre-orders, Walmart.com? But that's distribution in the COVID pandemic world, so it is what it is.
Well, I was pretty excited, honestly, for to come in because you told me about it. You told me when it was going to go live, and I pre-ordered it for him, so I knew he would get. There was something else. Oh, the one ghost and what was it?
The toilet.
In the toilet, yeah, he got those.
Yeah, the fearsome flush and the bug eye.
Yeah, he got those like months ago, or I think it was months ago. He got it. So
they came out a little earlier.
But so I was happy. Ecto 1, you got to have Ecto 1. You have the Firehouse because he has the original Firehouse.
I hope they keep reissuing and re-releasing these classic things. I mean, it's a no-brainer, easy money. I mean, you literally already have the molds and everything sitting around. You don't have to design packaging or anything like that. Just put it out there and sell it. Same thing like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Party Wagon's getting reissued. It's out there in Walmart as well as the original 4 turtle figures. I mean,
I gotta get that.
So often they can recycle this stuff and just keep pumping it out, and we'll open our wallets.
So I think for a future episode too, we have the ability now. Before we wrap up here, we have the ability now where we can pull in. We can go to my arcade. It's dark and lonely over there right now.
Yeah, it looks like a dungeon.
Well, I mean, I can't have everything on, or the power's gonna go like. My wife will be like, "There's nothing on the power grid," but we can go through here and we can look at this. We have the ability. We can play anything and do anything. Yeah, we see. Like you can go through here, and we can go to that camera, or I actually have a console camera as well that we could go to, which is set up from the other angle, and do something there. And I also have a camera pulled up that we could go to. Over, I call it the Legends Ultimate. I guess that's what you could call it because it's on top of the Legends Ultimate. I just have to like turn the lights on, I guess, a little bit better, because then I can
illuminate.
Clap on.
Yeah, so I can go to the pinball machine and we can see what pinball's really actually better. But so for those that were wondering, I think everything else. Everything else worked out really good. I got everything switched over, and everything seemed to work really well today, so I'm not complaining.
Good deal.
We just had that little bit of lateness start, but that was something I got solved. But ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Douglas Smith, youtube.com/cooltoy. Go check it out because he does have the Party Wagon video up. Yep. And this guy here, I see his New Way toys there that he has off to his left. YouTube.com/GPlanamento is where you need to go for Glenn's Retro Show. And remember, next week I think you and Steve are taking over the spot because My mom's coming out to visit, so we won't
Yep.
have a show next Friday.
Kicking it old school. Number 3, 4, I forget.
I thought it
We're
was
old.
I thought it was called the Old Guys Club.
No, it's kicking it old school, young man.
Okay. Well, either way, that's going to be next week, so make sure you guys check that out. They're still going on about Cool Toy and whatnot in the chat room. Guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're into broadcasting, we do it every Thursday. Although next week, because like I said, with everything going on, Wednesday I think we're going to do the broadcasting show on Wednesday. Just me and Greg, because we're the only ones that can make it. So with that being such a new show, we want to keep that going. So if you guys are into it, you want to learn different things about broadcasting, live streaming, how to get better video, unlike those guys that were doing the spoof of ESPN, tune in. You can learn how to do that. Guys, until next time, keep it buzzing.